Hello and welcome to a new episode of Rose Guns Days. In slightly different format now, if you're watching this live, and I say live with big air quotes because we've shifted things around a bit, and these will be going up on YouTube Premiere every week instead of on Twitch, because I'm busy. I'm real busy, and streaming after a long workday was turning out to be a little too much, hence all the big breaks and stuff. So that won't be happening anymore, I hope. I think. But, yeah, we won't be live anymore. I'm recording this on a Wednesday. So, no more Thursdays, but I think it'll work. I think it'll work out. And, yeah, on that note, let's just kick this right off, why don't we? Starting with our usual content warning. Yes. Oh, it works. Perfect. Content warning for Rose Guns Days. Gun violence and violence. So, regular violence as well as people getting shot at, that sort of thing. Also racism. Sexual content including references to assault, misogyny, alcohol abuse, characters dealing with trauma and depression, and what might come up this episode is mentions of human trafficking. So keep all that in mind. Also keep in mind that I can leave that out now. Part of this anyway. If there are more specific warnings necessary for this episode, I will put a little disclaimer on the screen right now. Disclaimer, I'll put a little warning on the screen right now, and it will also be there in the description of the YouTube video that you are currently watching. So check that. That will be all you need to know. Because as of recording, I don't know what's going to come up. But I will be slightly editing this before throwing it up online, so I will make sure to add necessary warnings. And I need to rewrite the warning that's on screen right now, but I'll do that in my own time. I'm not going to bother you with that. What I will bother you with is a recap, because it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, let's start off with just what happened last time that I did some reading. Last episode, Rose, Richard, Wang, and Meiju met for a lovely dinner appointment. Wang showed off some really intricate machines, some clocks, like a lot of clocks, which are all set to activate a liquor cabinet, if I recall correctly, at a specific time, basically to show off, right? And that's what he did. He, throughout the dinner, shows off by switching from being really jovial and friendly, showing off his restaurant that he owns, you know, and so then switching to being really aggressive, attacking Rose and Richard, claiming that they owe the GDS tribute, that they're responsible for all the issues in City 22, and this continues to the point of him demanding that Primavera reverts the wage increases so that there's less pressure on the Golden Dragon Society from workers to match those high wages that people in City 23, Japanese people specifically, are now getting. Richard has a hard time with this. He loses his temper multiple times, but Rose is like, yo, keep your cool. She stays calm throughout and refuses to concede, just says, you know, we'll have to think about it, we'll get back to you on that. After they leave, Wang comments to Meiju that, you know what, you were right. I thought that they would be easy to crack. I thought that Richard was in charge. I thought that Rose was just a figurehead. Man, I was wrong. They're not going to crack like I expected they would. We'll have to use with Dodoby, who is, of course, Zell. As we also found out, not last time, but the time before that. Zell is then sent on an errand, which is to pick up a tasteless, odorless poison that causes a heart attack a week after the poison is injected. Ingested, not injected. Around this time, Wayne visits the music store to share some great news with the kids. He'll soon be promoted to become Rose's personal guard, which essentially clears the path for Zell to assassinate Rose as instructed. So, that's where we're at right now. And, yeah, that's concerning. To put it lightly, it's worrying. But, I guess we will find out how successful all of this is gonna be. We know there's a season 4, but, I honestly thought that Leo would be in the whole story, and he wasn't, so... Remember Leo? Remember when he was around? I barely do. Well, that's not true. He's very memorable. Anything can happen is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, let's dive right in. Club Primavera was a nighttime establishment. It was normal for executive guests to have lines of luxury cars parked in front of the club. However, today it seemed to be flourishing even in the middle of the day, with a line of several cars out front. However, all the people coming out of those cars were grim-faced men who didn't look remotely like guests. One after another, the bosses of the crews serving under Primavera arrived and were welcomed in. The cars of glaring, grim-faced men surrounded the club, preventing any passerby from coming near it. Rose had asked that they avoid disturbing the neighborhood as much as possible, but if they wanted to gather together Primavera's VIPs, there was no way around this. After all, the pasta gatherings were no longer small parties held with close friends to save money. However, inside, the club was filled with cheery music and happy smiles. The bosses of all the crews were jostling about there. They drank, sang, and danced with beautiful women, enjoying a lively, stand-up style lunch party. However, though it was called a pasta gathering, tables were all lined with light foods such as crackers and sandwiches. There's no pasta at the pasta gathering. This is how far we've fallen. Unbelievable. I don't know why that bothers me. I cannot express why. But it bothers me. Pasta sticks together if it isn't freshly boiled. It wasn't well suited for serving such a large group. It was pasta salad, you know? You can put that in like a big bin and it doesn't even need to be warm. It's disgusting, mind you. In my opinion, pasta salad does not count as food. It's a sin. But it's an option. Just saying. Anyway. Though it was a pasta gathering, none of them got a chance to eat pasta. The only ones who got to eat pasta were the bosses allowed into the meal meeting with Madame Rose. Okay, thank goodness. They were gathered in the VIP room. Unlike the bustling hall, this place had an elegant feel, with classical records playing. However, these were battle-seasoned bosses. They ignored that atmosphere and enjoyed a merry meal. Anyway, it's all about being popular. We're heroes in this city, right? The thinkly outcasts get to walk around openly under the sun. Don't get cocky. The madam is the hero, not us soldiers. I agree. We don't deserve any respect after all the protection money we grabbed during Caleb's day. That's what's sad about being a soldier. You lose, everyone down to the lowest ranks is a criminal. And even if you win, you can never wipe away the blood that's covered you. You can't win at shogi without pawns. Without us soldiers, no one could fight wars.
As always, I'm really grateful to all of you. We live in the underworld. It just so happens that everyone is welcoming us now, but it isn't usually that way. There may come a day when we'll have to be feared and avoided by the people, because of the fight to protect our countrymen.
Perfect. Who cares if they hate us? That's just what I'd want if it means I can fight for our countrymen. Well said, Cyrus. Now that's the spirit of a soldier. Do not remember Maurice's voice, so that's just what we're rolling with from now on.
Thanks for everything, all of you. I never forget the gratitude I feel towards you. Please continue to lend me your strength for Primavera and our countrymen.
Our war isn't over. This time, let's really die for our countrymen and our homeland. Cyrus, maybe dial it down a notch, you know? Like, no one needs you to die. I'm sure there's, like, other ways. What the fuck, man? Glory be to Madame Rose. To Primavera. The bosses let out war cries and clinked their glasses together. It truly was a manly world, for soldiers only. So Stella, Meryl, Richard, and Wayne were relaxing at a different table, a short distance away.
The tone of Primavera has really changed, hasn't it? It used to be a collective of women, but now it's mostly men.
Isn't that wonderful? Now everyone will realize you are a woman.
What the hell are you saying?
I've lost the Meryl voice, I'm sorry. She keeps saying that, and I know it's like an anger thing, but what the fuck does mean? It's an onomatopoeia, I think, but you know, like a word for noise. But I could not tell you what that noise is supposed to sound like. True. Primavera has changed. It changed ever since the time Rose decided that she wanted to guide her countrymen. I simply obey Rose-san.
It must be nice to be so straightforward. Well, I guess it's not so bad. To tell the truth, I'm a bit uneasy. Well, I understand that. We used to spend our days dazzling our clients, fighting to see how much we could loosen their wants, and getting fawned over by men. Well, no matter how much they put on airs, a lady of the evening is still a lady of the evening. It was never a trade that let us walk openly under the sun.
Isn't that good then? Now you get to fight for your countrymen and walk out in the open.
What Rose is trying to do is splendid, and I respect her for it. Still, it isn't something we mere ladies of the evening could ever have anticipated. To be honest, it feels like I'm living in someone else's dream. Don't you think so, Big Brother? The thought that our Primavera would become something like this.
I am surprised by the swift change. However, it's something that someone had to do. Ever since I started raising Yuji, it's been made very clear to me, day in and day out. Just when I thought Yuji, the nephew that Richard was raising, had been a baby until a few days ago, he was already 2 years old. Those days, when he had thought about childcare and the society of his countrymen at the same time, seemed to have quietly changed him. If you end up raising kids, I'm sure you'll realize that it isn't enough to fill your days with fun things alone.
Rose is in the right, and so is Primavera. The people in the city have been able to regain their smiles. That really is wonderful. It's really a perfect score.
So what is it that's bothering you?
Have you ever been in the ocean when you suddenly realize that you've drifted a long way from the shore?
I've never played in the ocean. Reform always stirs up unrest. However, we aren't allowed to succumb to fear and lose the courage needed to overcome our situation.
Yeah, you're right. It's not like we're complaining or anything. I'm just trying to say that everything's changing so quickly, I can't really settle down. First the war, then the great disaster. And then Primavera. The eras are passing so fast it makes my head spin.
The passage of time is equal for everyone. If it's starting to feel quicker, doesn't that just mean you're getting old and slow?
Ooh, now a little... No.
Genuinely, I hate this font. It makes things so hard to read. I've been reading another game, and it's got a wildly different font, and I just breeze through that. This, like, the main difference is just the font. So I'm just... I don't know. I wish the font was different so it would be easier to read. Maybe also the background, because it's transparent. It's a little busy. Anyway.
Ooh, now even Lil Wayne's starting to fight back. You've gotten a lot more dignified ever since you became a boss. Isn't it about time you got a girlfriend?
Don't mock me. I'm going to stick with this. There's no time for playing around. I'll stick with this, no matter what, until Rose-san overcomes this era. Of all the people Primavera has employed, you were the best catch. After Leo, you mean? In the past, he would have said this sarcastically, but Wayne's face was at ease. People, the city, and Primavera. Everything was changing at a hectic rate. Of course, human history will probably continue for at least 100 or 200 years into the future. There probably won't be another bunch of years this hectic during those 1 or 2 centuries. Don't be so quick to say that, because you're gonna regret that. It can happen, and it probably will. Living during this time of upheaval had a strange sense and feel about it. That may have been what Wayne felt. Richard looked at Wayne with his newfound composure and considered the passing of the ages.
Shall I fill your glass, Consigliere?
Oh, thank you. Zell appeared, holding a bottle of mineral water. With a refined motion, she poured at the perfect time to avoid interrupting the conversation.
Would you ladies like some too? Sure, I'll take some. You're pretty quick on your feet. If you ever get in a fight with Wayne, come over to my group. I'll take good care of you.
I want to see what Meryl's group is like. I really want to see what her group is like. I bet they're wacky. Stop trying to steal people from my crew. Have you wandering dogs been getting enough doing? How about the other 3? With a forced smile, Zell pointed towards a corner. Just as expected. Oliver and Charles had completely frozen up from the tension.
I can't believe I'm sitting in front of food and can't eat it.
The pasta looks hard as steel.
I
I can't bring myself to stick my fork in it. The two of them were staring at the pasta, quivering, with forks in their hands. Their heads were probably spinning with dozens of table manners. It was only natural. Wayne, the boss they adored so much, was a junior member here. The bosses were a bunch of valorous men from the battlefront. There was no way the dogs could join in on their conversation. Just a day ago, they had been planning to sell themselves to the bosses and make their names known, but... Hey, Missy. I'll have seconds too.
Okay. And the rest of you, how would you like some... how would you like some seconds?
I'll take some too. Just pile it right on there. Apparently, she thought it was less awkward to act like a waitress than it was to freeze up like Oliver and Charles. Even though she'd gotten a precious invitation to participate in the pasta gathering, she was basically acting like hired help. My. With a pained smile, Richard rose to his feet and walked towards Rose's seat. Rose had been going around the boss's seats pouring drinks, but when Richard whispered in her ear, she immediately came this way.
I'm sorry to have left you out in the cold. Oliver can, Charles can. Wayne can. Could you bring Xiao-chan and Nia-chan here too?
That was the wrong voice. Shall we move to a different room? Here we'll get sucked into their atmosphere and we'll be able to relax. At Richard's suggestion, they all took plates piled with pasta and glasses and moved into the madam's office.
I'm sorry, everyone. I invited you hoping it would go well, but it looks like it was stressful instead.
That's not the case. We are relaxing.
The heck sort of dialect is that? I'm sorry we're so tense.
If something like this makes you tense up, you won't be able to serve as Madame Rose's guard, now will you? Those words made the wandering dog sit up straight.
Thanks so much for what you did at Chiba. Without your cleverness, it would have been terrible.
You're still agreeing, but their noses as back alley rats are a force to be reckoned with. When they coordinate as a team, they can do things that surprise even me. Why is Richard so cheerful during this meeting? What's up with him? They just got like threatened big time by their biggest rivals essentially. And they might get stabbed in the back by Meiji, perhaps, maybe? As far as he's aware, at least. And he's in higher spirits than we've seen him since maybe season 1? What is up with that? No, that's high praise for Mad Dog Wayne. No, forgive me, I wasn't trying to make fun of you. If Wayne gives such an enthusiastic stamp of approval, then your ability is the real thing.
It sort of feels like I'm in a dream. Don't get cocky. We're still being tested. You've all already heard about it, haven't you? I want to ask you to become my team of guards.
We're so grateful for your words. We'll do our best.
Oliver, you're getting too excited.
Shut up. At least I didn't say relaxing like you. Their youthful reactions are entertaining, but they'll have to learn to focus their concentration. Of course. I'll personally pound it into them. When I'm not around, I'll leave the guarding to you. That means you'll have to reach up to my level. Of course. We'll work like our lives depend on it.
We're alley rats. We were shunned just because we were alive. And now, not only have people acknowledged that we exist, they're counting on us.
Yes. I wouldn't regret losing my life.
Whoa!
Wait, that's a different kind of whoa. I thought you were saying like, whoa, slow your roll, but nope.
Whoa. Crap, now I'm even more excited than tense. I'm on fire. We'll work super hard. We'll definitely become strong enough to serve as Wayne-san's right-hand man.
Very promising. I'm expecting a lot from you. Half crying, the three of them expressed their enthusiasm in their own ways. The orphan children, whom no one had acknowledged before, had been acknowledged for the first time. They'd surely received a jolt that would turn their world and lives upside down. They wanted to be strong, cool underworld men. They were just a step away from having their dream come true. But their dream wouldn't come true. This opportunity for their dream to rise to the level of Madame Rose's personal guard would not come. After all, Madame Rose would be poisoned today. If a large number of core members suddenly died, then poison would be suspected no matter how perfect the poison was. So, Rose must be the only one poisoned. Zell had been serving drinks, waiting for the right time to come, but it never came. They had moved to another room, but everyone had brought plates of pasta and glasses with them. They would probably continue with a smaller pasta gathering here. Since people were still eating and drinking, there was still a chance. This was the first and last chance for poisoning Madame Rose.
It sounds simple to ask you to be my guards. However, it's the same as asking you to bear the brunt of any danger that comes to me.
We are prepared. It would be an honor to die in your place. My, how brave.
In that case, I'd like to start with why I must not die now.
Or why I must not die now.
Well, no one wants to die. Shh. Shut up and listen. What I say doesn't leave this room. Don't tell anyone. Can you promise me that?
They all nodded silently. Rose smiled and nodded back.
You see, I think the Japanese are lazy people.
Oliver and the others were taken aback, unable to believe that this was coming from Madame Rose, lady of charity and leader of her Japanese countrymen. However, Rose smiled gently. Apparently, she wasn't saying it as an insult.
There's nothing bad about them being lazy. Laziness was a Japanese virtue.
On a world scale, it's rare to find nations as lazy as Japan is on various matters. Their lack of concern for crime prevention is particularly noteworthy. And they think even protecting one's own life is a dirty thing. That's not quite right. They think being suspicious of people is an evil thing. So, protecting against crime means you suspect your neighbor, making it evil. Taking preventative measures means you're suspicious, which is evil. That's why they developed a strange culture, where people openly expose themselves to harm, communicating their trust by being defenseless. What's the ideal downtown life comes to the minds of all Japanese people? A disorderly but warm scene with small houses packed in tightly. If you put your futon out to dry on the balcony, you'd strike up a conversation with the housewife on the opposite balcony. The neighborhood kids dash around in groups, and the housewives forget their children as they enjoy a good gossip. The husband casually goes into his neighbor's yard, saying, "It's been a while since we've played Go, so how about a game?" They start a match under the eaves. A scene from a Japanese utopia, where everyone interacts like family. All the neighbors treat each other like family. Even ringing a doorbell is overly formal. In this world, setting up barriers to people is unrefined, even violent. So everyone becomes defenseless, showing their trust. And everyone, responding to that trust, does not harm their neighbors, even though they are defenseless. It's the people called the Japanese who hold this strange utopia as an ideal. However, it goes without saying that the world isn't overflowing with mercy. You protect yourself by your own hand. That's the unwritten rule of the world.
Back during the time Japan isolated itself, cutting off its ties from the world, that was still fine. However, when the black ships came and opened the country, Japan was faced with harsh reality.
When they turned their eyes outside of Japan, they found a world where people killing and eating each other was a natural thing. At that time, the world was all about invading and getting invaded. Advancing nations used their military power to invade underdeveloped countries, and they ruled over them for entire centuries. Would anyone choose to be invaded? This bizarre people who viewed defenselessness as a way to display their trust received a terrible shock when the country was opened.
You know what happened next. Japan switched gears into becoming a militant nation, as though overcome by panic. Of course, after lavishing in our centuries of defenseless peace, we couldn't become lions all of a sudden.
Perhaps the phrase, "weak dogs howl the most," applies here. They howled at China and the West at the same time, picking fights one after another without considering the relative strengths between countries. Almost like an elementary schooler who's just entered his rebellious period. And what happened next goes without saying. Japan ended up paying for its long period of peace and for failing to cultivate its character by interacting with the world.
The Japanese are lazy. A foolish people who rely on the goodwill of others even for their own protection. And most importantly, they're immature compared to other peoples of the world. We're nothing more than children in an international society that's matured.
Japan is just a child in international society. That certainly wasn't just a personal opinion held by Rose alone. Measured by the standards of modern civilization, they would be like a boy of 12 as compared with our development of 45 years. That was a statement made later, in 1951, by MacArthur, the American Senate Armed Services and Foreign Relations Committees. The Japanese at the time, who didn't really understand its true meaning, were very indignant at being treated like children, but Rose spoke with assurance.
No, the Japanese are children. Because our country was isolated and positioned at the eastern tip of the world, we've been no more than children idling our time away until today. During that time, the world grew through interactions with neighboring countries and gaining strength and resilience. It'll be very hard for us to catch up starting now, but if we continue to get buried by American and Chinese immigrants, the Japanese people will most certainly be destroyed in the near future. This Tokyo scenery we have, like something from a foreign country, will become the usual in Japan. Rose calmly and cold-bloodedly predicted Japan's near future. Surely, it was faintly visible in the depths of her eyes. The future, where the Japanese don't act like Japanese. No. A future where the Japanese are destroyed. Oliver and the others gulped at the tangible presence of that future. We won't content ourselves with waiting for that future to come. Primavera must be the breakwater. And we must be the guides for our countrymen. Amidst the crowds of immigrants from Western and Eastern countries, the Japanese have to realize, we have to realize that we must become strong. We must learn how to work hard to protect ourselves, to graduate from the laziness that lets us lavish in the goodwill of others, as though it's perfectly natural. I think that only when that happens, will the Japanese be able to sit on an even footing with the Americans and Chinese and share in prosperity. That's the ideal I hold. As a person who loves this country, I have to guide them so that the people can learn diligence and resilience from the Americans and the Chinese. It may take a long time, and I might not be able to accomplish it on my own. So at least until that time comes, I must not die, no matter what. Not until the Japanese find the strength to get by in the world. Or at least, not until they start walking down that path. When she finished talking, Rose drank all the water left in her glass in one gulp. Even though her expression had been a bit scary a second ago, it was peaceful again now. Sorry for talking so much. However, I want you to think about this. At this rate, our culture will be lost. Losing our culture means losing the community of our countrymen. What happens at warm family get-togethers? Aren't they overflowing with Japanese culture and tradition? Please try and remember. Remember celebrating the Japanese New Year and Setsubun and Hinamatsuri with your families. In the summer, there was Tanabata and the Bon Festival. And in autumn, there was Otsukimi, right? Zell was stunned, but she remembered back, just as Rose had asked. And what she saw was her father, her mother, her big sister, and her little brothers, all of them. She recalled fond memories of the Japanese New Year. Mother. She was strict sometimes, but she was so kind. My big sister was a meanie. Whenever I got something even a little cool, she'd say, "You're still too young for this," and take it. But she was always the one who beat up the bullies. My little brothers were small, so whenever there was an event going on, they'd get excited and run around. I must have picked up my big sister's bad habits. My little brothers tried to do all sorts of things, but I always scolded them, saying they were too young. If I'd known what would happen later, I'd have let them do whatever they wanted, as much as they liked.
However, just remembering that heartwarming New Year's family get-together made my eyes water. Madame Rose is saying she wants to protect that. At this rate, if the Japanese are swallowed up by American and Chinese culture, that heartwarming scene of the Japanese New Year will vanish too. When that happens, I might not be able to remember that family get-together anymore. At long last, tears began to fall from my eyes. I couldn't stop them. It wasn't just that I'd been drawn back into a warm memory. This person, this Madame Rose, was trying to protect my only happy memory. No one else protected me. I had to sacrifice my body just to live. So my only reason for living was my tie to my father. I thought that as long as I could cling to that, I didn't need anything else. This Madame Rose was trying to protect the truly precious memories of my whole family.
Zell, I'm sorry. That's strange. I can't stop crying.
Rosa, their families are...
Oh. I'm sorry. That was thoughtless of me. Please don't take it badly.
Of course we won't take it badly. We're back alley rats. However, we had families until the Great Disaster.
We usually keep it holed up deep inside us. We don't remember it too often, but for every last one of us, it's the one treasure we could never throw away. Yeah. It's the one treasure we could never throw away, isn't it?
Come to think of it, Nina was looking a bit teared up too. Even these self-styled alley rats once had families. And they all had memories they could never abandon. Madame Rose understood this, and she protected those memories. You could tell from their solemn gazes that they all understood Rose's greatness.
Oh no. I've talked so much, my throat is getting dry.
You and me both. You and me both.
Del, there's a bottle of mineral water over there. Could you fill my glass?
With absolute defenselessness, she handed her empty glass to me. The bottle of mineral water was on the side table by the wall. It was perfectly positioned to create a blind spot at my back while pouring. Why, Madame Rose? If you claim that defenselessly trusting people is what makes the Japanese fools, why do you trust me? I took her glass. I could tell that my fingers were shaking. They were shaking as much as, no, more than the first time I killed a person. Why? I know. All the people I've killed in the past have been villains who've taken advantage of the misfortune of many others. All their heads were filled with nothing but selfish desires, and they never gave a thought for the happiness of others. But this person's different. This is a person who must not be allowed to die. I turned my back to them and picked up the bottle of mineral water from the side table. If I just fill this glass and put the poison in, it'll be over. The poison was inside a ring-shaped assassin's tool. When used, a small pill would fall out. It would melt rapidly, without leaving any smell or taste. And with just a single gulp, the victim would die from a heart attack a week later. No one would think it any more than an unfortunate, sudden illness. Even the victim wouldn't realize that she'd been poisoned. There was no antidote. If you swallowed it, death was certain. What'll happen if I hesitate to poison her? My mission will fail, and my father's life will end. To protect my father's life, I must kill Madame Rose, the one who's trying to protect my family's memories. My family's memories and my father are both precious treasures to me. Can't abandon either of them, but I can only protect one of them. There's no getting around it. It's for my father, after all. Looks like Madame Rose really has to die. My mind went blank, and I thought I could hear my father scolding me. No father would be happy to have his daughter become a murderer for his own sake. No. I'm acting like a spoiled brat. I'm just forcing my reason for murder, my sin, upon my father. I'm being unfaithful to my parents. Father was right. I just can't stop clinging to my parents. Father told me to separate from my parents, to put myself first. If so, my soul is whispering to me. Madame Rose, this person must not be killed. If I drop the poison into that quivering surface of water, it'll all end. If I raise my hand to the glass like this, and twist the device in the ring just a little, the pill will fall and emit. I can't do it, Father. Madame Rose's ideals feel as important to me as you do. What should I do? I slowly pulled back the hand that I'd raised above the surface of the water. I hadn't dropped the poison. Just thinking about what that meant made my mind go blank. It tingled, I swayed, I shivered. But this is right. Father, this is okay, right? When I picked up the swirling glass and turned around, my heart leapt. Because right before my eyes and nose, Madame Rose was standing there, smiling. In other words, she had been standing right behind me the whole time. She had been watching every move I made from over my shoulder. My voice froze. Her gaze pierced me. I thought I was going to suffocate. However, she was smiling. Thank you, Zell. Madame Rose. Thank you for protecting my life. She'd seen through all of it. I didn't know why, but she had figured out that I was trying to poison her. After all, that ring doesn't suit me. I immediately tried to hide the ring. It was too late. My mind was completely blank. How did she guess? How did I let it slip? No. In the next moment, my body moved regardless of my will. I've been a mistress for so many underworld bosses. I've seen people get killed like it was a show, over and over again. I'll be killed, and killed brutally, humorlessly, mercilessly. Fear raced through my body. I dashed out of the room before I knew what I was doing. I dashed through the packed hall towards the exit, bouncing off of people's shoulders. It had grown dim outside, and it was starting to drizzle. The cool outside air felt as cold and hard as concrete. It felt as though my lungs would be filled with that merciless, icy concrete, frozen solid. But if I stopped, I'd die. I could remember those many brutal deaths. People with their ears, arms, and legs cut off before they died. I remembered the time my brothers were killed. I remembered the time my sister was killed. I remembered the time my mother was killed. No, make it stop. Zell ran through an intersection with a red light and was bathed in the sound of car horns. Consumed by a fear so great, it was like the whole city was trying to swallow her whole. Zell was unable to stop. At that moment, Zell's hand was grabbed from behind. Stop. Let go. Let go.
Zell, calm down, damn it. What's wrong? What happened all of a sudden?
Charles didn't know what he was doing either, as he refused to let Zell wrench her hand free from his grasp. The two of them fell into a puddle. Oliver and Nina caught up with them a second later.
Damn, you guys are fast.
What on earth happened? Why did you suddenly run away, Zell? Let go. Let go.
We don't even know what's wrong. Anyway, we've got to calm her down. She's all drenched. She'll get a cold at this rate.
Carry her to the music shop. Wait, son. What on earth? Basically, Zell's an assassin hired to kill Madame Rose.
Huh? What are you talking about, Aniki Wayne? Zell wouldn't do that. I won't let anyone insult Zell like that. Not even you. I won't.
Stop, Charles. Wayne-san, is that true?
I don't believe it. I won't let even you get away with saying that, Aniki Wayne. Zell's an assassin. She's an enemy?
They knew the whole time? Damn, why? How? Her code name's Hotarubi. I hear she's a talented, treasured professional killer of Chinatowns.
Professional killer? Zell is? That's insane.
Normally, I would have preferred to strangle her on the spot, but Rose-san told me not to. It's time for you to talk, Zell. I made the mistake of trusting you, someone who never received the baptism of the alleys. My naivete is partly responsible. Is he basically saying, like, I only trust street rats? Because that's wild. Take her to the music shop. Oliver, Charles. Make sure she doesn't get away. Yes, boss. You're kidding, right, Aniki? Wayne didn't answer and turned to face away from them. Oliver bit back his remaining hesitation and grabbed Zell's right arm. Not with gentleness, as he would an ally, but as an enemy. Charles hesitantly took Zell's left arm, but after just touching it, he slowly lowered his arm. Charles, this has got to be a lie. It's gotta be, right, Zell? Tell me it's a lie. I'm sorry. Zell. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry. You're lying. I don't believe it. This has gotta be a lie. Isn't it, Aniki Wayne? Tell me it's a lie. Aniki. End of chapter. I will save. And I know this is quick. It's gonna be a real short one today, but I am gonna call it here. Because A, you know it loves me a good cliffhanger. And B, yeah, my voice is doing the thing again, so I don't think I can... I'm assuming that the next bit is gonna be quite long, until I can find like a good place to stop. But I think I'm gonna sound like this by the end of that, so I don't want to do that to you guys. Yeah, so, no, that's gonna be it for today, for now. However, because of the new format, I will likely be able to stick to a schedule better, and I'll be able to record a little more often. So I can also, like, when I have a little more time, I can, like, record multiple parts, stitch them together in editing, and then, you know, have longer episodes that way without straining myself. Or being forced to cut it short, like today. So yeah, I think, I think, be real careful here. I think you can expect more, consistent uploads for Rosegun's Days in the future. Starting next week. With, just a regular new episode. Hopefully. Probably. Yeah, no, I think I can do it. Yeah. Yeah. That's gonna be the plan. Alright. Yeah, okay. I'm also cooking up some other stuff, like I mentioned in the intro, so keep an eye on the YouTube channel. No ET on that just yet, so keep an eye out, but like, not too close of one. If you're subscribed, you know, it'll pop up in your feed, it's fine, that's all you need to do. It's basically nothing that you have to do, really. Just let the YouTube keep an eye out for you. And eventually we'll get there. I will, of course, mention it once it's up. I've got 2 episodes ready already, but I want to create a little backlog, you know? To prevent the issue that I had with the Rosegun's Days, where it was like, oh, let's just do nothing for a month. Oops. Let's just unintentionally do nothing for a month. That was not planned. Just saying. So yeah. Things are cooking. Still in the oven. We'll get around to it. You'll see it when it's ready, and I hope you enjoy it. But that goes without saying, of course. Of course. Of course. Anyway. yeah, it's a short one today. Sorry about that, but longer one next week. I promise. And until then, have a good day, night, week, year. I forget how the rest of the Friends theme goes. But that, yeah. Just have a happy I'll be there for you by the Remfest. Yeah. Alright. Alright. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.